Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Roszipou and today looks like I'm doing another bullet journal video. I don't know what to say. Apparently when I tell myself that I'm not gonna do something, I do it. That's where I get inspired, and not gonna lie, I'm really happy that I record the whole thing while I was doing my January 2021 theme, because it's a good one. It's a very good one. I was inspired by a video game that you may or may not know, if you guys still haven't figured it out by the little intro that I did. This month's theme is based of a video game called Kingdom Hearts. I hope that this theme will inspire you in some way or in another. Even though you don't know this video, I just hope that it may or may get you inspired by it, because when I was doing my 2020 flip through, I realized that my favorite theme that I did was probably the video game based theme, like the Animal Crossing one, the Pokemon one. I hope that you guys gonna like it. Yeah, let's just stop talking and get right into it. So like I hinted many times in this video, this month's theme is based off the video game called Kingdom Hearts. I started by retracing my keyhole and my January font over a watercolor friendly paper. I also wanted to show you guys the supplies that I used. So we have some Van Gogh watercolor paint palette. I also use two different kind of brushes, and I guess my cat Kero came to say hi as well. I also use some Indian ink, and I also show you guys a bottle of white acrylic paint, but I just ended up using it to hold my Scott towel instead of using the acrylic paint. Another thing that you can do, and that I ended up doing in this video, is just using a jerry roll pen. If your paper is thick enough, I think my paper was like around 100 GSM maybe. So if your paper is thick enough, it's gonna be really okay to use watercolors on it. So I just dip my brush into the water, and I used a little bit of paint, because from my experience, it's always a little bit easier to work with watercolors if you go gradually. So you start with a lot of water and a little bit of paint, and then you go less and less with, and yeah, especially when you want to do like galaxies. You're gonna see me mixing some paints together so I can make like a beautiful purple. The colors that I choose is kind of like a basic navy color with some dark wine red and a little bit light of blue, and with the navy blue and the wine red, I mixed it together so I can have my purple. And now I am using my Sakura Pigma Macron Graphic 1 pen to do the line art around my font that I wrote January in French on it. I was mainly inspired just from the basic Kingdom Hearts logo to do this one. Good thing that the Kingdom Hearts logo has a lot of letters in it, and I think that except of the Y, it has all the vowels. So I was able to just get inspiration just by those letters, and I was able like to make myself like a personalized font. I think the whole point of it is just to have like a font that looks like the Gazette newspaper. If you're able to do that, then you're good to go. And then after that, I just got my India ink and I painted January, which is janvier in French. So I painted the word janvier with it. I wanted to use India ink instead of the Sakura Pigma background, because I wanted to make sure that the black is gonna be over the watercolor. Because one thing with watercolors is that you can still work on it even though it's dry. And the thing with India ink is that once it's dry, it stays. So just in case that my Sakura pens would like mix together with the watercolors and it would end up like not as black as I wanted to, I use my India ink instead. And as you can see, I'm also using my Jelly Roll pen. Like I said, instead of my acrylic white paint, I did some stars and sparkle. I just did like a little bit of a drop shadow around the word janvier, and I also did a little bit of highlights within the title, just so it pops a little bit. I ended up using my white watercolor to make it pop even more. And now we are ready to cut it. I started with, you know, plain old scissors, and when I was about to cut through around the word janvier, I kind of realized that it would be mainly impossible without screwing this up. So I just got my small little X-Acto with a mat thick enough so it doesn't like, I don't cut through my mouse mat. And it was really, really tricky because I think that this X-Acto knife is I think I bought it at the dollar store because I needed one like ASAP, and I never bought another one again. So it was really hard to like cut it through. So I think I'm gonna invest into like a better X-Acto knife in the future. So once that we are done cutting through the keyhole, I'm gonna stick it to my title page. And while I am doing my quote, I was thinking of maybe tell you guys a little bit more about the game Kingdom Hearts, just in case that we have some people that don't know nothing about this game. So the story is about a boy named Sora, and he lives on Destiny Island with his friend Riku and Kairi, and one day his island is taken over by darkness, and it's Sora's job to bring his world back and help King Mickey, Goofy and Donald to also bring the balance, the light to some Disney World. And that's the whole premise of this game, and it gets super duper complicated, it gets super cheesy, super edgy, but your girl loves this kind of stuff. And other than that, Kingdom Hearts is actually, like you could already tell, it's a collaboration between Disney and Square Enix, the same video game company that brought us the game Final Fantasy and many other RPGs game. It was first released on the PlayStation 2 in 2002, so it's a running series for more than 15 years. I guess you can understand why Kingdom Hearts 3 was like so anticipated. It was released in 2019, I think in the month of January, so it was a good way to begin the year in 2019. And on the same year, on Christmas in 2019, I got the whole collection, the Story So Far collection for the PS4, and also Kingdom Hearts 3. And I'm really happy to tell you guys that in 1 year, I finally reached Kingdom Hearts 3. It took me 1 year to get the whole series before the third game, because unfortunately this series, you need to play all the other games, even though they look like side games. They are actually very, very important to the story and very, very important to understand Kingdom Hearts 3. So if you're interested, I really, really recommend to get the little collection of games that I got in order for you to understand and catch up with the story before playing Kingdom Hearts 3. So for my quote page, I just decided to write a quote that I really, really like about this game, which is "May your heart be your guiding key." It has like a very, very big meaning into the game. I don't want like to talk about it just in case some people didn't play this game and they were interested and they don't want spoilers, but this quote gets a very, very important the more you advance into the game, and even without its context, I feel like it's a beautiful quote. Like, just follow your heart. That's kind of like a nice quote. Either way, I also drew a art behind the quote, and I also use my watercolors to make it pop even more. The art is obviously based off the Kingdom Hearts logo as well. And now that we are done with my quote page and my title page, we're gonna move in to my monthly calendar spread. So I think that my spaces is like 5 by 5 spaces for each squares. I also left like 1 spaces for the dates, and I think 2 spaces height for the days of the week. I think I'm not really sure, but a very average calendar, because it's the first month of the year, you know, obviously. I wanted to have like a bigger calendar because I actually have a lot of things planned on. I didn't want to go like too complicated with this theme because I was planning to draw like a bunch of Keyblade, which is the main weapon that Sora used in the video game, and some keyholes and all. So I didn't want it like to overcomplicate it myself, because I knew that I would be drawing a bunch, and also because I wanted to use watercolors. So I did a big watercolor theme back in 2020. I think it was for my September theme, and that was really, really intense. So I still wanted to use the watercolors, but I didn't want to do like a big thing like I did in September 2020. So I keep it minimal. I just did some kind of like a gradient for the days of the week and the dates of the months. And I also wanted to do like a mini galaxy keyhole, and I think I ended up using too much paint at some point, and I had to use my Scott towel to absorb the amount of paint that was like a little bit too much, and I went a little bit overboard, so I used my Jelly Roll pen in white to cover a little bit of my mistakes. Also, when Sora used its Keyblade to lock a world from the darkness, he also does this kind of like cool move to lock it, and the Keyblade does like a very bright and blue beam. So that's why I did just a fine blue line that just like go right into the keyhole. It was like a little reference to this move in the video game. I added a ton of sparkles. I also left the space for my goals of the month and some notes, and then with my 0.05 Sakura Pigma Micron pen, I just wrote the dates of the week in French and also the numbers of the month.
Was a dream.
And that's it for this spread. Next up is my mood tracker and my habit tracker. So you'll see it doesn't look like a lot, you know, a very intense looking mood tracker. It's like very, very average, but there is this whole thing in the game where every time you start a new game, Sora, the main character, ends up on a glass with like a bunch of graphic, a little bit like the church's glass that you'd find in some churches. So I wanted to do like a glass platform just like in the game. I messed it up. Do not do what I did. If you have any kind of like round templates to help you to make like good looking circles, please use that. I ended up like messing up a lot, but good thing that I had my handy dandy jelly roll pen. So there's 31 circles or space that I'm gonna ink depending on my mood. So it's gonna just like reflect the class in the game where Sora ends up at the beginning of the game. For my habit tracker, again, because I did this like a very big thing with like the glass platform, I didn't want to do like something a little bit like too much for my habit tracker. Mainly because it looks like really empty, but I swear by the end of the month this glass platform is like overtake this spread. So I keep it minimal. I just use the keyblade icon and I spread it up a little bit, so I have 31 space to color every time that I'm gonna like do the habit I wanted to do that day. So I don't know why I wrote all of them in English except the sleep one. I wrote Same instead of sleep, but this month I'm gonna keep track of if I slept well, so at least 8 hours per night, if I do my skincare routine, if I work on my comic, if I try to do my classes on Skillshare, and if I exercise a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna keep track of that. And for the colors, because I didn't want to do too much, because like I said, I know that by the end of the month the glass platform is going to be filled with colors. For my habit tracker, I just recolored the crowns blue and yellow on the borders, and that's gonna be it for my mood tracker and my habit tracker. And again, I also use my jelly white roll pen to do some highlights on the fonts, and that's it for real. Now for the next spreads, I always like to have any kind of like nose-taking spreads and a brain dump spread. So what I end up doing, I'm gonna have a spread that represents my monthly task. It's really important for me to, each month I wrote down what I have to do and I keep track of what I'm doing. So I have a tab for my commissions, I have a tab for my progress in my comic book, and also my personal errands. So if I ever need like to buy, I don't know, something very important at the grocery store, I'm gonna write it there. Also, if I need to bring my cats to the vet or whatever, I'm gonna write it down there. So to use a little bit more of like the watercolors, so I decided to do a galaxy background for the titles of the spread. So I did a blue theme palette for my monthly task page, and more of like a reddish, purplish one for my brand up. And my brand up is really simple. I didn't want like to do anything too special. I just did Sora's Keyblade upside down, and I wrote brained up in the middle of like the little galaxy thing that I did. But before writing that, of course, we gotta let it dry. So I started up by coloring the Keyblades. I use my Zebra midliners and some Crayola Super Dips. I use two different tones of gray, mostly because the Keyblade itself it's gray, but I didn't want it to look like too flat, so I ended up using another, a different shade of gray, no pun intended, to do some shadows and highlights as well. Added some sparkles with either one of my Sacrapima Macron pen and my General pen. I also did some sparkles around my subtitles in my monthly task. And that's it for this spread. Now we are going to do the first weekly spread of the month, because I didn't know if I would get my journal in time. My first, the first week of January is actually in my other bullet journal, so this weekly spread is about the second week of January. I think it's starting the 4th of January. So yeah. Because I didn't want to use Indian ink again, because I wasn't sure how much the paper would handle it, so I just ended up using a very dark blue navy Crayola Super Dip pens with the same color. I did some Mickey Mouse heads that's gonna serve for the dates of the week. So I used my Zebra midliners, markers to do some sparkles, as well as my gray Crayola Super Dips that I used a little bit earlier. And I didn't want to do too much for this weekly spread, mainly because my hands were in pain. My other weeklies will look a little bit better, I think. And also I went back through my journal because I was looking at the pages and I thought that maybe with some washi tapes things will pop up a little bit more and look like a little bit more scrapbooky, and not like too much graphic. So having a nice balance like that, I feel like the washi tapes had a very nice touch. And I think I used one washi tape that I bought from AliExpress, and the other ones were Amanda's Rachel Lee washi tapes. I used the blue sparkly one that is like a little bit thicker, and another one that is like blue with like a grid in it. I also forgot to write the dates of the week, so I went back to my weekly and did that as well, and I added some highlights with my markers. And here's my flip through of my spreads this month. Oh my god, I really like what I did. I hope that you guys found some inspiration from that. Alright everyone, I hope that you liked this video. Consider giving it a like or to subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more of this content. I must say though, I'm not sure when I'm gonna post next. I did 3 videos this week and I wasn't prepared for that, not gonna lie. I really like doing it though, but I can't say for sure if my content is gonna be consistent for the next year. So if you like this kind of stuff, feel free to click on the bell button so you can get a notification whenever I'm gonna post a video, hopefully once a month, because I don't know, maybe it's because, like I said, I told myself that I'll not be making those kind of videos. I feel inspired and I do it anyway, so we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to say, just in case this video comes in time, so if you see me talking about it, that means that yes, it came in time. But if this video comes in time, I just wanted to say that I'm gonna be streaming on Twitch on December 31st, so on the New Year's Eve, starting 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. So if you want to catch up with me, ask me questions, or if you want to play video games with me, the community still haven't decided on which video games we're gonna play, but we'll play Animal Crossing for sure to see the countdown in this game, because I really want to see it. So if you're interested in that, feel free to give me a follow on Twitch as well, and I hope I will see you there. And if I don't, I hope that you're gonna have a nice New Year's Eve, and see you in 2021. Goodbye, everyone.